Putting the military legality question aside, are the U.S. strikes against alleged drug boats putting Americans at risk for retaliation? Joining us is ABC News consultant John Cohen, a former Homeland Security Undersecretary for Intelligence and Counterterrorism Coordinator at DHS.
Now, John, a lot of people argue that drug cartels are terrorists, assuming the boats we've hit are narco-terrorists. Is this the argument we always come up against, whether hitting our enemies will actually hurt us in return?
Hey, Jim and LaDonna, it's great to be with you. Yeah, I mean, it is a question and it's a consideration that national security and law enforcement officials wrestle with when they conduct these types of operations and when they develop strategies to address serious issues such as drug trafficking by transnational criminal organizations. As you pointed out, it's not unusual for military assets to be used to interdict drug shipments, whether they be coming to the U.S. via land or the waterways. But typically it's done under the auspices of a law enforcement operation, meaning a naval ship may be used to stop a speedboat, but the people who actually board the boat, arrest the people on board and seize the drugs are U.S. Coast Guard or law enforcement personnel. Aside from, as you said, the debate going on regarding legal authorities, we do know that drug cartels, particularly those in Mexico and Colombia, have a lot of money. They have a lot of resources. They have used violence in the past to target law enforcement, both in the United States and in Central and South America and Mexico. They have used violence in communities in Latin America as a way to intimidate the public. They increasingly are using cyber attacks and cyber warfare to attack government systems, but also to engage in surveillance against law enforcement. And they're increasingly weaponizing social media. So, from the what security planners and law enforcement will be doing is evaluating not only the efficacy of their operations to stop the flow of drugs into the United States, but also to understand what threats potentially exist as a result.
Speaking of the efficacy, using military against drug smugglers as opposed to law enforcement is a big shift in U.S. policy, but does it have a chance to be more successful? I mean, will the cartels run out of boats and people willing to drive boats?
Good question. And, let me just say, I don't shed any tears about over a U.S. missile blowing up a drug courier or boat. I spent a lot of my career investigating violent drug cartels, arresting members, conducting raids on their operations. The problem is that when dealing with narcotics trafficking organizations, there's always someone standing in the wings to take a trafficker or a courier's place. And the reason for that is that there are huge sums of money that are available to these trafficking organizations. I mean, literally, I've gone into locations associated with trafficking organizations where from floor to ceiling you see stacks of $100 bills. So there are literally hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars at their disposal, and there are plenty of people who are willing to take a chance to support their activities in exchange for money. And finally, they're also very resourceful in the sense that they will study our security operations and they will then adapt. And so I suspect that if they find it's too dangerous or high risk to transport by sea, they'll turn more to overland routes, drones coming in from the northern border. So the administration, even if one takes what's going on as a highly effective operation with this current method of trafficking, they should be anticipating that the cartels will adapt and change their methods.
John, you've been in law enforcement for more than 40 years. Are you confident that our intelligence services are finding the right boats, like they're not just blowing up fishermen or pleasure craft?
Well, I'm hoping they are. I mean, the resources of our intelligence community are extraordinarily robust. They could have been available to the administration, whether they designated these criminal organizations as terrorist groups or not. And, through a combination of human intelligence, electronic intelligence, signals, intercepts, and imaging, I'm pretty confident that if they're targeting a boat, they are competent. But to your point, it only takes one mistake. And in addition to the response by the cartels, if the U.S. military is involved in a lethal strike against a commercial fishing ship or some other foreign flagged vessel that is not associated with the trafficking organization, then that could subject the U.S. to sanctions under international law and even some type of retaliation, whether it be economic or some other type of retaliation by that foreign country.
All right. Thanks a lot, John Cohen there, ABC News consultant, former Homeland Undersecretary for Intelligence and Counterterrorism Coordinator at DHS.
Thanks for watching Arizona's Morning News. Click to watch more from KTAR News and hit the button in the middle to subscribe.